Hi, this is Gary Campbell. I thought I would take some time and put to video my current Acorn project. Hopefully it'll help some of you guys do something similar on your own. The objectives of this project are to show a simple control replacement as part one. The second section would be to replace the existing drives with closed loop or hybrid stepper drives. The third section would be documenting and showing how I implement the screen and operational features of CNC 12. So as we all know, this is a while into the future. And then once that's done, fine-tune the Acorn macros and actions to CNC small router platform. And then hopefully the last part of it, I will add a 4th axis rotary fixture and multiple tool measuring length switch options and things like that to show some of the more advanced features of the Centroid control. I had an opportunity to go and pick up a small format Chinese built CNC machine. They're available all over online for a reasonable price. For a friend of mine who wanted it built. Actually, it runs on another control system that he's already familiar with. It's a Chinese ball screw machine, medium quality and pretty good value to the price. So I thought I would pick up another one while I was there and use that machine for this project. So a quick view of the front of it. You can see it's about a 2-foot by 3-foot aluminum T-saw table, ball screw drive, NEMA 34 motors, got some decent features on it, and some of them are actually pretty decent. So there's a look at the front of the machine. Let's go around the back as it's sitting on the pallet and show you the control box on the side. And then this last shot shows the inside of the control box. Now this is on the first of the two machines. You can see the overall inside looks pretty fair, done relatively neatly. I got that up and running, and here's a short video showing it doing just some test V-carving until the owner comes in to pick it up. Now here's a look at the inside of the second control box. Pretty much similar, except I removed the covers over the wire duct and I was doing an inspection on it. So I'd like to show you some of the major components inside these boxes. This first is the VFD. Second, the 3 stepper drives, and in this case they're Leadshine DMA860H, available online. They're a fairly decent drive, not one that I purchase normally, but more than workable for a small machine like this. Next thing mounted over on the left side is a generic Ethernet based Mach smooth stepper of some sort. A generic Mach 25 pin DB breakout board. On the left is the main power circuit breaker. On the right in that circle is the main power contactor. This is the main power distribution block that was supplied with the machine, and this is an EMI filter for the VFD. Shown down at the bottom is the 24 volt power supply, and on the bottom right is the 70 volt power supply for the stepper motors. Now I'm going to take and point out some of the issues that I found with this machine, and it was slightly different than the one before. First item, the cover on the VFD is missing. The top left screw on the VFD mounting screw was also missing. Can also noted, compared to most of the stuff I do, the wiring for the VFD is a little bit small in size, and it's also unshielded. Also noted that there was no ground connection from the VFD case, and especially since the VFD is mounted to a painted backplane, that caused me a little bit of concern. Next item that I found is that the main power switch on this unit was not even wired in, that instead they had run the main power through the e-stop. It worked, but nonetheless isn't necessarily the way that I would do it. The other item that I found, you can't really see it because it's hidden by the VFD, but the ground wire from the power and from the EMI filter are run to a small screw bolted down over the plastic wire duct and then into that over that painted case. So I don't believe that the grounding on the machine is really up to what I would like to be able to do. Next item that I noticed was that all the home and limit switches were wired into one pin. Now, we all know that those will work that way, but I like to use discrete pins for mine for certain cases, and I just think it's a better way to do it, unless you do not have any room in it as far as the count of your inputs to do that. Another thing that you can't see right here in this picture, but just down below the arrow, was the main power connector. It uses a power connector similar to what's on the back of a PC power supply, and the wires, especially the ground, were relatively small there compared to the loads that I think that are in the machine. And if you take a look at the power cord that was supplied with the machine, next to that number 2 standard Phillips screwdriver, that both the outer case wire and the individual wires in there are awfully pretty small. And in fact, I believe those are 18 gauge wires, which to me are extremely small. Also want to show the difference in size between the generic breakout board that's on the left and the Acorn board with the Beagle board controller on top of it. So size wise, I'm going to have to make a little bit more room. So all in all, here's what I decided to start with. I stripped everything out, saved all the components. Some of them will most likely be reused, but in many cases there's other parts or products that I'm either more familiar with using or I believe might be a higher, better grade than what came with this machine. And just in case you were looking to pay attention or want things to look for in the future, here's my list of the items or the reasons why I decided to basically eliminate phase 1 or part 1 of this, which would be to just replace the generic breakout board and Mach smooth stepper with the Acorn board and I/O. I decided that in order just to do that, to turn around and just to make that, take a few pictures and then totally dismantle it, wasn't a good use of time. So anyway, here's my list. No wires for the power switch, poor grounding, insufficient wire size for power load, missing wire duct cover. I didn't show that in the earlier pictures. That I don't like the e-stop on the power wires, the lack of shielding on all of the control wires. The size of the Acorn versus generic breakout board is mandating that I remodel the things on board. I want to allow and make room for a 4th axis drive, and my new system is going to require a 5 volt plus 24 volt DC power supply, and I want to add a little bit more contactor control to the system. So parts are on order. Stay tuned for part 2 when they come in.